Hello, Duranis here, and welcome to episode 4 of Kerbal Space Program. Today we're going to do a test mission to begin with. So the things that we're testing first is our new rocket design. So we're going to be using asparagus staging now that we've unlocked the fuel lines. So if you're not familiar with asparagus staging, the theory is that you have multiple sets of liquid fuel tanks, and basically you drain from the outside tank to the next one in line and then the next one in line until you get to the center tank. And as the outside tanks run out of fuel, you ditch them, so you're shedding all of the weight of the dead fuel tanks, and you're keeping all the center tanks filled with fuel for as long as possible. So it is the most efficient way to set up a rocket, so you get the most delta V out of it, because you're not carrying a lot of dead weight all the time. So the next thing we're going to be testing is the effects of interplanetary travel on a Kerbin. So our test monkey today is Samvis. So say hello, Samvis. Yeah, he is just staring at me without turning away. Okay. So yeah, we're going to head out of Kerbin's sphere of influence and do some science, see what happens. And if you can see here, we've set up our Kerbal alarm clock so we can see our launch windows to various different destinations. So some of them are coming up fairly soon, so we want to be prepared for that. So yeah, I'm going to head up to orbit now and fast forward while I do that, because you don't want to watch the ascent stage again. And I'll speak to you when we're in orbit and ready to head out of Kerbin's sphere of influence. So here we are in orbit. All we're going to do now is basically just burn prograde until we get an escape velocity from the Kerbin system, and that will put us in orbit around the Sun. And once we're there, we can do some science. We can see if Samvis explodes or catches on fire or turns into the Incredible Hulk or any of them weird and wonderful things. And assuming that he doesn't, he can come back, we can dissect him and make sure it's safe for other Kerbals and get ready for future missions. So let's just get onto our prograde marker, and we're just going to burn, full burn. It doesn't really matter which direction we're pointing in here. We're doing this close to our periapsis because that's when we're going to have the most speed, so it makes sense to do it there. So see our orbits slowly expanding. 9, 10, and we should get somewhere just past the Mimus orbital path, and then yeah, there's our escape. So there we go. We've set ourselves up on an orbit around the Sun, which is very, very similar to Kerbin's orbit. So we've only just come out of Kerbin's sphere of influence, so we're going to be following pretty much alongside him. If we left ourselves in orbit for a long time, eventually we would move quite a distance away, because it's, as you can see over there, we're on a slightly smaller orbit on this side. So let's set the alarm for the sphere of influence change. And change that to 10 seconds, add alarm, and just sip on food for sphere of influence. let's delete that. And let's fast forward a little bit more. And there we go, we're now in interplanetary space. We're out of Kerbin's sphere of influence. We are in orbit around the sun. So let's go and see how Samvis is coping. I keep wanting to say Samwise, like Samwise is in Lord of the Rings. So yeah, he's actually ecstatically happy. It's going just over 9,100 meters per second, so he's going faster than any Kerbal has ever been before. So let's ditch the slower stage in these fairings and do some science. So we've got a materials bay here, and yeah, let's keep the data and mystery U, and let's keep that and do a crew report and keep that, and an EVA, and let's keep that as well. So keep data, and we'll take the crew report out of there like we always do, just in case we need to do another one later. So we've got a spare mystery goo on there, so we'll use that when we're coming back to Kerbin, and same for the thermometers, because they won't do anything out here. Even though it does show a temperature, you can only log the temperature when you're in a planet's atmosphere, I believe, or if you're not obviously on a planet that has no atmosphere, then landed on the planet you can use it. So yeah, what we're going to do now is set Kerbin back as our target. So we'll use the mission flag from our first landing site, which is fairly fitting. And we're going to find our target, which is just over here, and just burn towards it. So we should fairly soon get an encounter with it, if I'm doing this right. Anytime, yeah. So here we go. We've got Kerbin periapsis in 4 days. Let's see if we can shrink that down a bit. Yep, so that's gradually coming down. Let's burn a little bit harder. 3 days. Still 3 days. So the sort of manoeuvres I'm doing here now is actually fairly similar to what you're doing when you're setting up docking manoeuvres, although obviously you're not using full thrust when you're doing that. But same principle applies. You just aligning your orbit with the orbit of your target. So we're actually raising our periapsis there now, but we're still reducing the time until the encounter. So let's just move up a little bit. So we're lowering our periaps again. Encounter's still coming in, and we've got a moon encounter there, which is a whoa, that completely messed us up. What's going on here? Moon encounter. Yeah, so let's just keep burning to get past that. And yep, so we're past the moon. And let's keep burning to get our periapsis down. We're still a day away from our encounter. Let's actually bring it back up, so I need to get on the other side. There we go, so bringing our periapsis down. And basically lining up our prograde marker with our target marker. So if we get this exactly right, we could actually land on the first site that we ever landed on Kerbin. But I'm not going to bother trying to go for that. So coming down to 500 kilometers, 300, 200, and 38. So you can see here with the effects of the aero braking and Kerbin's gravity, that would actually really reduce our speed quite a bit. So if you're coming into a planet and you want to get into orbit, and if it's got an atmosphere, it's always good to sort of skim the atmosphere. You can use it for what's called aero braking. So that will basically slow down your speed without having to use any fuel. So it's quite good for planets like Joule and Kerbin and Eve as well. Juno, the atmosphere is not overly thick, but you can aero brake on there as well. So yeah, we are actually already in the sphere of influence apparently, I think. So let's just zoom on so we get a little bit closer. And we've got to be really careful here not to skip past it, because at high warp it will just skip straight past this periapsis. So we need to slow down when we get a little bit closer. So about there, stop, stop, stop. And let's just speed up a little bit more so we're just outside the atmosphere. And it actually looks like we're going to be coming in on the nighttime side there. So let's see what we can do about that. Can we wiggle it around to land on the day side? So yeah, this is a bit of an odd maneuver. Normally you wouldn't want to come around in the opposite direction to the planet spinning. But we're going to go for it on this one, so let's see what we can do. So yeah, basically I'm completely changing the direction of my orbit here. Really inefficient. If you're coming in to actually do a landing for real on another planet, you would never normally want to do something like this unless you had accidentally set up your orbit to come in on the wrong side. But normally if you've done that, by this point it's too late to worry about changing it. So this should be fine. We're just burning around, increasing our orbital speed all the way. So we're going to be coming in really, really fast, but we should have a little bit of fuel left, and we've got the atmosphere and the parachutes to slow us down as well. So just coming up towards the end of the burn here, and we want to try and get a fair amount of atmosphere that we're going to go through. So yeah, just about there, 16k on the periapsis. So that should do just fine. Let's kill that maneuver node. Get scooted on around to the retrograde. And let's just get in a little bit closer. So coming up towards the atmosphere here now, and going 3.5 kilometers per second, and we're still 250 kilometers out, so let's speed up a little bit more. And we're going to be hitting the atmosphere at about 4 kilometers, I think. So 4 kilometers per second, I mean, and yeah, so coming in really fast, and if we had deadly re-entry on now, we would definitely be toast. So let's actually just flip that over and do a temperature, and we'll keep that. And crew report, and not worth anything. And mystery gear, are you worth anything? Yep, we'll keep that. And let's just burn the rest of our fuel just to slow us down a little bit more. And that was hardly worth it. And let's ditch this lower stage. Oh, and then hit the lower stage. See you later. So yeah, our speed's gradually slowing down, but we are coming in very, very hot. Let's actually deploy the landing gear. And we're going to hit the water, which is something I really didn't want to do. We might be lucky and just catch the edge of this land here. I know we're going in that direction, so yeah. It's actually, no, it's slowing down reasonably quick, but I'm going to deploy the chute here just to add a little bit more drag and try and slow us down a little bit more. That sounded like something exploding. What was that? No, I think we're still good. And still going fairly fast, but a lot of that speed should be killed once we deploy the chute at 500 meters. So log the temperature. Hello. I've already done 2 of them, so yeah, that's fine. Just speed up a little bit, bring it on down a bit quicker. And coming down to 1,000 meters. Let's kill the warp before that fully deploys. And going at 8.5 meters per second, which is a little bit quick. What I'm actually going to do is EVA him and see if we can grab the science data out of this before we land. Come on, grab it. Collect. Thank you. And they should be fine anyway, so let's board quickly before we hit the water. Let's just accelerate a little bit. 40, 30, 20, 10, and splashdown. So, yeah, good job I did actually collect the data from the Science Junior, because that completely vaporized, and this is why I hate landing on water. If that had been a landing on the landing legs would have absorbed the shock, and even without the landing legs we probably would have got by just fine. But landing on the water is always a bit more dangerous. So let's take the data from that actually, and let's see if we can collect the goo. Yep, and collect the data. Yep. And have we already got a surface sample from the water? EVA report. Surface, no, keep. EVA report, keep, and let's move down and take a surface sample and keep that, and let's store the data and board again, and one more temperature log. Excellent. So I guess you call that a success. We managed to save all the science. A bit of an odd landing, but Sanvis is still alive. He's not turned into the Incredible Hulk or caught on fire. So let's recover the vessel. So we managed to pick up 598 science from that mission, and more importantly, we know it's safe for Kerbins to travel outside Kerbal's sphere of influence. So here we are in the R&D department, and let's see what our research and development boys can come up with the science that we brought back. So I think the first thing we're going to go for is the deployable solar panels. They'll be quite useful. I do also want to get the seismic accelerator, so maybe we'll get that. And general construction, and that gives us the bigger decouplers, and we've got the heavier rocketry, which also gives us the skipper and the bigger tanks. So lots of things that I want to get. This would also be useful for the craft locator, which will basically, that when you have that on a craft, it will keep the maneuver nodes even when you switch between crafts, so it will save the maneuver nodes to the craft. And decisions. So if we have this, then we have 196 left. So we can get the heavy rocketry, and we have 36 science left, and we really need to get the decouplers there. So yeah, so at the moment we have big fuel tanks but only small decouplers. So let's see what we can do with that. So I'll meet you back on the launch pad for the next mission. So, welcome back to the launch pad, and here we have the Insanity Mark II. This is actually the second version. The first version wasn't quite insane enough, so basically we're going to launch a very quick sensor package up around Kerbin, and by quick I mean very quick, so let's get this going. So we're using the Globe X2 solid rocket boosters from the KW Rocketry pack, and we should be getting up to speed pretty quickly. And we're going to go into a polar orbit, so rather than going to the 90 degree this time, we're going to the north, and this really doesn't want to steer. And it's a good job we're not using fire, because I don't see this thing ever flying. It's about as aerodynamic as a brick, but it is going pretty quickly, so that's all we care about at the moment. So let's try and tip this over, and getting ready to ditch these stages and fire in the next stage, and this is where we should start picking up some real speed. So yeah, we're not even to 10 kilometers yet, and we're going 400 meters per second. And let's get tilted on over as far as we can. So yeah, about there should do it. And we're starting to get atmospheric effects from the speed that we're going, and we're now getting heating effects from the speed that we're going. So let's see if we can get that going a little bit quicker. Yep. And that looks pretty cool. That's brilliant. I love that. So where are we on our orbit? So coming up to we're going to end up with a really high apoapsis here. I should have tipped this over a little bit more, but I got distracted by the shiny things. Let's ditch these out of stages. And still got heating effects going on. And yeah, so just going to activate the next stage and stop burning for a second. So we're going to catch up to our AP a little bit. Let's actually tip on over this way and just burn to start pushing our periapsis out. So this is probably the most inefficient launch you'll ever see, but it is relatively quick. So it's about 100k, which is what we want for the AP. So that's going to still drop a little bit as we're still in the atmosphere. So skip on up a little bit faster. And coming up to 52 kilometers. Still got a reasonably high apoapsis. We can adjust it a little bit if we want. Our inclination needs a little bit of adjusting, so let's angle it that way just a tad. And let's just burn just to get that apoapsis back up. And let's just carry on coasting up to the AP. So 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1. And we have insane amounts of thrust on this, so we can afford to get right on close to the apoapsis. Don't have to worry too much about burning past it. So we're going to get about 5 seconds away and start burning. So about there. And let's just tilt on over to change our inclination again. So our inclination's going up, our periapsis is going up. And let's tilt a little bit more. And a little bit more. So that's too much. So we're going to get the AP up to 110. That's just about perfect. And let's just try and... it's quite hard to actually do fine adjustments with a massive engine thrusting on it. So let's just get round to our periapsis. Actually, let's skip round to our apoapsis again, and we'll adjust the inclination there. So add an alarm, apoapsis, and skip on through. And we should come in up to it any second now. Can we go any faster? Nope. So yeah, this is just a quick mission just to get a map of Kerbin going, so we can see the anomalies and that on there, because that's something we'll probably want to check out later. We've also got some new science toys to play with, so I've strapped them on here too. And let's just get ready to... yep, that's raising up our periapsis, and actually that's lowering our periapsis. Let's switch around to about here. So raising our periapsis, raising our inclination. So we're just going to concentrate on the inclination now and get that to 90. And that should do just fine. And let's skip on round to the periapsis just to adjust our apoapsis again. So add an alarm. And 10 seconds, periapsis, and zip on round. And I do really quite like the shape of this. It looks like a bullet, and the speed it was going, it's quite a resemblance. So yeah, I quite like this design. Makes a change from the other designs I've done so far, which has been pretty reasonably realistic and nothing too crazy. But yeah, this one was all about the crazy. So just coming up to the periapsis now, and 2 minutes away, 1 minute, and should be dropping out of warp. That's perfect. And let's close that. And just do a small burn on the retrograde just to lower our apoapsis a little bit closer. And yeah, as you can see, a small burn with this engine and this small amount of mass is pretty difficult to do. And yep, perfect. So let's ditch this lower stage and the fairings. And deploy the sensors. And deploy the solar panels. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. And extend the communitron. Start scanning. And I'm scanning for Kethane and everything else here, but probably will never need to mine Kethane there. But so we can also scan now for uranium and thorium, which is part of the Interstellar mod. And what else did we have on here? We had the magnetometer. Let's activate that, log the data, and we'll transmit that. Let's just angle them out so they're not clipping. And let's extend that again just because it looks cool. What else did we have on here? I think that was more or less it. That's going to be out of range still. So let's open up the map and time accelerate. So it's going to take a little while just to fill in the map of Kerbin here. So I will come back with you when it's completed. So I've left this running at high warp for a little while. We've almost completed the map here. The low resolution map is finished and just waiting on the high resolution map, but I'm not going to sit around just waiting for a few more science points, and we've got pretty much what we need here. So let's analyse the data, and we get 20 science from that. And analyse the data, and we're going to get 18.7. So for the 1.3 science, I'm not going to sit here for another half an hour. So let's transmit that as well. And I said transmit. Thank you. And let's have a quick look at the map here. So you can see here the map of Kerbin, and we've got all of the biomes there, and you can see all of the anomalies. There's actually quite a few on Kerbin. I didn't know there was quite that many, so that's going to be quite fun to go and check all of them out. So yeah, that's it. We're going to head back to the Space Center and go to the R&D lab and see if we can unlock that last construction part to get the big decouplers. So yeah, after a quick experiment run on the launch pad, we now got 96 science, so let's unlock this node. So yeah, that puts us in a pretty good spot for next time. We've got the skipper engines, the bigger tanks, the decouplers, and some more science experiments here. So next time we're going to be going into that and checking some of them out. So hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please leave a like and feel free to subscribe. And I'll see you next time. So take care. Goodbye.